Okay.
Go ahead.
Evolution. I'm just really going to just address some of the common misconceptions about it and what it actually is. The actual definition, scientifically speaking, is any change in successive generations across successive generations. Any change across successive generations through inherited characteristics in any biological population, which is essentially any change over time. It doesn't matter how fast the rate varies between species. Alright, one of the misconceptions is that evolution has never been observed. This is actually false because there are very instances of speciation that has occurred where they take fruit flies and they separate the population into two categories. One, they give maltose-based food, and another one, they give starch-based food. And they have noticed that across many generations, they pass into some that only eat maltose and others that only starch-based foods. And then they reproduce essentially the same. They'll try to find like pairs. However, there are some that crossbreed. But that's another example, like the mule, which is a cross between a donkey and a horse, but is still sterile. Another one is sickle cell disease, which occurs in most populations, occurs mainly in Africa, which is a mutation of the blood cells where they lose oxygen and they become sickle-shaped, like this, and it's harder for them to carry oxygen. This is a mutation and while it is negative and does cause much pain and fatigue, it also helps against malaria, because malaria cannot survive in those blood cells. So there's one instance of evolution. Another one is this one, the Flavobacterium NPK172, which is nylon eating. And nylon eating has not existed until it was synthesized in 1935. And this was found in the factory's waste dump. They found it uses 3 different enzymes to digest and break down the nylon. And those 3 enzymes are not found in any other Flavobacterium or any bacteria for that matter. And those enzymes can only be used to break down nylon. It doesn't work on anything else. So there's another instance of observed evolution. Another one is that evolution cannot explain the origin of life. There's a fallacy in this saying that it's the straw man fallacy saying, since evolution cannot explain the origin of life, it has no validity. But evolution has nothing to do with the origins of life. The study of the origin of life is called abiogenesis, which we break down as A for not bio for biological and genesis for generating. So, and this is actually a completely different field. There are some overlying facts, but it has absolutely nothing to do with it. Regardless of whether abiogenesis is valid or false, would not affect the idea of evolution and that it has occurred. Another one, like a lot of opponents of evolution ask for examples of transitional fossils and say that there are none. But you see here, the most common one is the horse, how it's evolved from Hyracotherium to the equus. And then here's the evolution of their other fronted of the limbs. To say that, yeah, that's fine. To say that there are no transitional fossils would just be like saying, this is essentially saying that there's a category of dogs and ants, and that to say that there's any transition between those two would just be that you're a labeling category. Categories are man-made, but nature doesn't observe any of these, so it has no problems breaking man-made categorizations. Go ahead. And this is a graphic describing it. Essentially, we start off with red, and we end up with blue. So through every letter, the color starts changing more towards the bluish color. And that's an instance of microevolution, where as we see, from the top to the bottom is just, that's macroevolution, large changes over time. Saying that there's no transitional falses is just saying that there is no purple. So where is the first purple word? Where is the first blue word? Where is the last red word? It's a whole bunch of instances of transitions that's happened across both species. If you, like when denying evolution, we just say that throughout the whole paragraph, although all of it is red, that you can see the end result. That's the traditional image, saying that we came from monkeys, which is actually very different from the closer ape. It would be more accurate to say that we came from apes. But the fallacy in this is that apes and monkeys are modern day species. And to say that we came from apes would just be like saying, if children came from adults, why are there still adults? It would be more likely to say, it's more accurate that we are cousins. This is actually a more accurate depiction of how evolution works. A couple billion years ago, there was a common ancestor that, depending on its environment, adapted changes to better survive that environment. The ones that were less fit, biologically speaking, died out, while the other ones that were more fit survived and carried on their genes and eventually adapted over time to change to better suit their environment. The theory, another one, the last one that I'm talking about, is that the theory of evolution is just a theory, it's not a fact. While then it can be proven 100%, it can be 100% proven true, just like nothing in science can be, because there might always be some new piece of evidence that will be discovered later on that could upset it or prove it even further. In theory, scientifically speaking, is the highest achievement any idea can get. A theory explains why something happens, as opposed to a fact or a law that actually describes what is happening. For example, the book would be the theory, and the words inside would be the laws. A parking garage is not a car, a library is not a book. I had something else to say. I forgot. Yeah. So those are some of the misconceptions and why evolution is scientifically observed and true.
Thank you. Okay, do you guys have any questions concerning the